Okay, so this board is under the microscope. The pads, we can barely see them in an eye, so I will show you the size. Yeah, these are the pads. You cannot see it with a regular eye, almost impossible to see it even if you are very close to it. So it's almost impossible to fix this, but we'll give it a try. The main problem, you can see that many pads are bent, but it's okay. If you will look closely, all these 4 pads are connected to this point and all these 4 pads to this point, so there is no issue. And these 2 pads to here and these 2 pads to here, so maybe I can straighten them all up, no problem. But here I have a torn pads and a torn trace that is going from here to here and from here to here, that should be connected with this tiny connector, and I need to put everything back. And I wonder even how can I straighten the PCB, because there are all these rings on the other side, and I'm just thinking if to take them all out in order to be able to perform this task at all. It's almost impossible. And yeah, I will have to remove these springs because it will give me a lot of trouble, and then we have the rubber. So maybe I can catch it somehow, because I want to mess it as little as possible and not to create more problems. So maybe I will put it in a tiny plastic box or something that will catch it while working with it. But as you've seen, this is maybe almost, I think, that the most delicate fix that I've ever tried to do, and I'm not experienced with such a tiny things. I have a lot of experience, but this is a very, very, very complicated task. So yeah, so let's try to, instead of talking, to see what we can do. So the pads, even the pads, I don't know if I can move them. Maybe with a knife. Yeah, this is the surgery knife. It's so tiny, and see how big it is under the microscope. And I need to bend all these pins back to their place. And this is not, yeah, so this is one. They are all connected, shorted, so there's no issue with the wire here. I'm trying to align everything, of course, back to its place. As you can see, it was torn from its place. There's a lot of force of the gaming, and I'm trying to do it by changing the angle of the knife while it's on the PCB. Yeah. You see, it's already look much better than it was. This one, pad gone with the wind. Yeah, so now they look much better. Yeah, do you agree? Than in the beginning. But again, Okay, so you can see that the pads are at least straight up. Now we'll use the soldering and try to put some solder mask and clean it. So the purpose of the solder mask is more of applying heat to the pads. And of course I have to move the iron in the correct way from left to right on the pictures that you see in order not to turn the pads out. Yeah, you have to work with what you have and what you can. So just moving it side to side. Yeah, so this is the first step. So now, of course, the most delicate is what to do about the torn pads and if I will be able to do it at all. Complicated task, this one. Now I will clean everything. Again, I'm moving in one position only. And now we'll have to use the grinder in order to see the contacts and be able to, yeah. Okay, found it. Let's try to work with it now. You can see how big it's compared to the traces. I think this is enough. Yeah, now we can see the pads, the traces. Now we have to add, a tiny very tiny wires in order to be able to work with this guy. Of course, these things can be done only under the microscope. There is no other way to do it. I can hardly see it in the microscope, so later everything should work somehow. Remember that everything at the end should work. you have to admit that it will be quite a miracle if everything will work at the end. So so I found much thinner head, not thicker of course, and let's try to attach the pads back to the place. Very tricky to move everything, it's so delicate. You don't understand how complicated this is. Yeah, and it is moving. Okay, time to try to use the soldering iron. You see, the head is completely tiny, very tiny actually. See, I already have a short, and this doesn't matter because we'll fix it later. Okay, so the job is done, and now the last step is to align this connector to those pads and try to solder everything back. So I'm now putting it and looking at these two sides that should catch the connector. Okay, now it is started to catch everything. Okay, we have a beginning. Okay, so now one last short I see. I want to open it. Here. I think it's open. Now let's clean everything and try to assemble everything back. Yeah,